We in this world.
Hello and welcome. You are watching Dancing with the Planets. I'm Amelia Fortes, the Cosmic CEO.
And I am Ashley Rose, the Bliss Queen, your resident astrologer and human design reader.
And this show is all about astrological insights for your pleasure and creativity. We designed this series to really be a cosmic guide for your transformation, joy, and opportunity. We want this to be empowering for you using astrology and your energetic blueprint to really unlock the most potent opportunity for you. If you're even remotely following astrology, you might hear like 2025, it's going to be crazy, and kind of like, yes, it is, but also there's opportunity here. So that's really where we're coming from with this. And I'm so excited because this episode, we're talking all about the full moon in Virgo, not just your average full moon, because it's also a lunar eclipse. Ashley, what's going on? Tell us the tea.
It's finally eclipse season, baby. We are currently filming this a few weeks before the eclipse, so we are already feeling that buildup, that culminating energy. Eclipse season are kind of big markers within any given year. You know, they're always on the full moon or the new moon. They come in pairs usually. And this year we are having eclipses on the Virgo Pisces axis. And the reason that eclipses are so important and why you hear about them all the time with astrology, and sometimes it can even be a bit doomsday, but don't worry, you got us, so you don't have to be scared. But eclipses, they often bring about fated events or points of destiny or just things occurring that come out of nowhere, sometimes even crisis situations. And they are here to shake you up and to realign you with your highest path and your highest good if you know how to work with them. And so that's the tea that we are spilling today. How do we work with the series of eclipses that we're going to be experiencing over the next 18 months on the Pisces Virgo axis? And particularly, how do we prepare for this March 14th full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo? And of course, we've got Amelia here, who is our Virgo rising queen. Amelia is going to go super deep into how this Virgo eclipse might be impacting you, depending on where Virgo is in your chart. And then I am a Pisces. So the Pisces stuff that's going on right now, there's so much going on here.
We are going to talk a lot more about eclipse seasons in general to give you more on how to prepare and how to understand it when we go IG live. If you didn't know, now you know. We also go IG live when we drop every episode to add a little bit more color and give you more that you're not going to see on this episode. So make sure you're following us on Instagram. There's links wherever you need to find them. Y'all are geniuses. You'll know where to find it.
So what's going on with this Virgo full moon eclipse on March 14th? The full moon, as mentioned earlier, is really a time of culmination where we might be feeling a buildup of energy from now, from whenever you're listening to the episode, to this full moon eclipse. This eclipse is happening at about 23 degrees of Virgo. And so if you have any planets within a few degrees of 23 degrees of Virgo, maybe your rising sign, maybe your sun or moon, they could be really impacted. Or if you have any of these planets in Pisces, Gemini, or Sagittarius, you might be really feeling this eclipse in general, even more so than other signs. In addition to eclipses being all about fate, destined events, and things like that, this Virgo full moon eclipse in particular might bring up where we might be experiencing some dysfunction in our lives. And this is because Virgo loves to bring order to chaos. And full moons and eclipses themselves are sometimes a little bit chaotic. This full moon eclipse in general might feel like there's a lot of stuff going on in your life and you are just trying to hold on. And that Virgo part of you, wherever you have Virgo in your chart, because we all have Virgo somewhere, that Virgo part of you is going to be holding on for dear life to try to bring balance and order and structure and organization to whatever part of your life might be feeling a little bit chaotic at this time. Also, feelings and emotions might be heightened. They usually are around full moons anyway, and especially a lunar eclipse. Just think about a full moon on steroids. Given that Virgo is a sign of perfectionism, order, and being the critic, you can find yourself leading up to this full moon eclipse being more critical of yourself, that inner critic, or even find yourself being more critical of others in your life. Watch for that and have some compassion for yourself. Have some compassion for those in your life, because this Virgo full moon eclipse is really going to be just showing us what's wrong. Virgo likes to look at a scene, look at a landscape, and will pinpoint what is wrong, what is not in order, what is sticking out, what is not in the right place. And so you might be feeling that super critical eye even more intensely in your life. And Amelia, even before I continue, I know that you, again, you've got Virgo rising. This is some of your native energy. Is there anything else that you want to tell us about the archetype of Virgo that's going to be very much front and center?
As a Virgo rising, it means that that sign is your first house. And your first house is all about your ego, how you identify yourself, how you see yourself. For me, just in general, as a Virgo rising, I naturally see the world through the perspective of that critic. I sometimes turn that onto myself and am very hard on myself. And then I also turn that onto others, projects, situations. Are all the I's dotted? Are all the T's crossed? And I know that that word critic can sound pejorative, really negative and bad, but there's a purpose to it because for me, and especially as I continue to lean into my Virgo rising and understand her more deeply, it's not criticism just for criticism's sake. That's more the shadow side when she's not in her most elevated energy. It's criticism for service to humanity, for service to people. It's like that auntie that's like in the kitchen with you. You're not cooking this correctly. You're trying to like put together a Christmas dinner and she always got something to say. And yes, it can sound really biting and annoying and all of that, but it's coming from a place of because I want the most beautiful Christmas dinner, the most perfect, lovely, delicious Christmas dinner for our family. I don't like to stop at criticism for criticism's sake. I like to see, well, where's the love here? Because Virgo is also so much like she serves because she loves so, so deeply. So that's really how the energy is showing up for me. And I know you're going to talk about more specifics as we keep going, but I do have some specific hot tea of how this has shown up in my life in the past and how it's currently showing up. But I want to at least say that because I've been really hard on myself for a really long time. I've also experienced criticism projected onto me. So I want to just name that. If you experience this, you didn't do anything wrong. It's just energy. And for me, what has been most transformational and pleasureful and creative for me is finding the love and the service that's actually embedded in the criticism. So hot tip for eclipse season.
That is beautiful. That is so beautiful. I absolutely love your description, Amelia, of this Virgo, the purpose behind what we might call criticism. Again, the Virgo Pisces axis is all about service. So there's a lot of similarities between the Virgo and the Pisces. And also remembering that from an even bigger archetypical standpoint, Virgo is one of the signs that represents the goddess and the harvest and just the beauty of being connected to Mother Earth and to nature. And so there's so much more than just what we can sometimes see with pop astrology or the shallowness of like, oh, Virgo's critical or perfectionist. There's a purpose, there's a meaning, there's a deeper spiritual motivation behind it all. And speaking of spirituality, the Virgo Pisces axis is the axis of spirit. It's where Pisces spirit meets the body, meets the 3D, which is Virgo. And so we can even expect like spiritual topics, things like astrology or Reiki, tarot to almost be heightened under the power of this full moon eclipse because all of those things are under the domain of the Pisces Virgo axis. And right now I'm even getting the downloaded visual of like the high priestess card in tarot. I see both Virgo and Pisces as really representing this beautiful energy of the high priestess, of the psychic, of intuition. So if you notice that your dreams are starting to pop off, if you notice that you're getting lots of intuitive downloads, maybe you're talking to your ancestors, maybe you are communing with your guides, this is all such beautiful energy to explore under this full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo that is all happening in the backdrop of Pisces season, which is about all of these things, dream time, vision, intuition. What this Virgo full moon eclipse is really wanting to bring to our lives is us providing ourselves really with the tools and techniques we need to deal with day-to-day life. Virgo deals with the day-to-day, with the minutia, with our daily activities. And we're almost being called to master, how is our work-life balance? How is our balance of our emotional health versus our mental health? How are we getting through our day-to-day? Are we feeling overwhelmed with the news, with the media, with what's going on in the world? Or do we have really grounded activities or practices or rituals? Virgo is also very much about ritual that can bring us back into our center and bring us back into ourselves. Just being aware of that Virgo factual mind. Virgo loves the facts, logical, work-centered, precise. You might find yourself again really bringing these qualities to your own work, to your own life, and then learning how to balance those with that dreamy, compassionate, knows no boundaries Pisces energy. That's also a big backdrop to this eclipse. So we talked about how there's going to be some tea in this episode.
There's tea in every episode. And my goal is to make it hotter and hotter each time.
Yes. Bring the spice, bring the heat. Yes. When we're looking at the lunar nodes, we mentioned before how they spend about 18 months in each sign. Well, what was going on the last time that we had these Pisces, Virgo lunar nodes going on? What was happening in our lives? Because again, the more that we can attach patterns and start to see trends of what's happened before, we can start to look at what can be coming up for us this time and best prepare so that we are ready and we are experiencing these transits in the most gentle, graceful way possible. So, Amelia, what has been your experience before with this Pisces Virgo axis with eclipses?
For those of you watching and listening as well, if you want to think about it in your life, the last time we had eclipse season in this axis was about 2015 to 2017. And so I was reflecting, because I know my chart, and also if you know your chart, how to read it. Also, if you don't, we're available for readings to help you figure that out. Pisces and Virgo is on my first house, seventh house axis. So that first house, who I am, how I see myself, my ego, my identity, how I like to show up in the world, my perspective of the world, and seventh house of long-term relationships. Now in 2015 to 2017, I had some fated events, as Ashley had mentioned. Prior to that, I really was working on my self-love and noticing that I had a pattern of being attracted to and choosing either unavailable or addicts as partners or as situationships. And around like 2014, 2013, I was like, I gotta get my stuff together, because the common denominator in this love story is me. Okay. And so I worked a lot alone. I chose to commit to myself. I did not date. I did not give my number out, deleted all the apps, all of that. And I did a lot of that self-work, which I think is very like Piscean. I connected with my spirituality. I focused on my own intuitive gifts, my hobbies, my pleasures, my friends. And in 2015, I met literally, and to this day, I would say the best man that I've ever known. And we got into a long-term healthy relationship. Even when we broke up, we consciously uncoupled. He also was a Pisces. He still is a Pisces. He's still here. And it was like so fated how we met. I like to think of eclipses as like either slamming the door shut on something like an old story that like really needs to be slammed shut, or blowing the door open on something that it's like the universe is like, baby girl, you need to step through and step into this. Literally right before I met this man, we're no longer together, but it was a beautiful relationship. I don't think relationship endings mean relationship failings. One of the most successful relationships I've ever had. Right before that, a situationship that I was in, this long ongoing saga. I know some of you can relate of like, why is this person still in my life? Just leave me alone. He randomly, out of nowhere, got married. Like the next time we spoke, we hadn't spoken in a couple of months, and I called him just to check in, and I was like, oh, this is what's going on in my life. And he's like, oh, I got married. And I was just like, what? Anyway, there's a lot more details there, but it was just one of those like, what the heck? And then 2 weeks later, I met my ex. So completely Pisces, Virgo, seventh house, identity, who I am. I'm like, who I am is no longer that girl. I'm not that girl. Shout out to Elphaba from Wicked. I'm not that girl. I am a queen. I deserve a king. It was a complete change in my identity as it relates to my long-term relationships, and I've literally never been the same. And now we're entering into that season, so I can't tell you what's gonna happen, but like high key, I'm excited. Also, during that time is when I launched my business.
Oh, amazing. I love that story. I love how you're connecting it to love and also these fated events, these unexpected meetings, eclipse season. Expect the unexpected. If I could just underline that for you guys 3 times. You can't really predict what is around the corner when eclipse season is coming.
And it doesn't have to be bad.
It doesn't have to be bad.
I mean, some bad stuff did happen, like that I kind of left out some of those details because we'd be here for 3 hours. But the bad stuff to me was like shutting the door, slamming the door. And then the good stuff was like blowing the door open of like, this is the life you say you want. It doesn't have to be bad. It might not be comfortable sometimes, but yeah.
Eclipses really do sometimes bring sudden endings. Sudden
Mhm.
endings, but then remember what happens after an ending is a new beginning. So it's the both and dichotomy. You can have unexpected relationship endings, job endings. This is what happens during eclipses. And then also we can meet that unexpected person who becomes the love of our life, or we can get that unexpected job opportunity that leads to a very abundant 10-year career doing something that we'd only dreamed was possible for us beforehand. All of this is possible.
Every exit is an entrance somewhere else. To talk a little bit about some of the not so great things that happened, 2015 was also when my family, we lost my nephew. He was only 24. He had a really bad brain tumor. Of course, like we never want that to happen. And it was relatively unexpected, like when that would happen. But that opened up my spirituality in such a big way, the way that I was able to connect with him through his transition. I was the one who was there with him when it happened. I was the only one there with him. And that was an ending. I didn't really know it at the time, but looking back on it, it really opened up my gusto for starting my business, which was when I launched that year as well. In LA, it's like if you're 25, you're ancient, and everyone complains about getting older. And I think about my nephew who passed 2 days before his 25th birthday. Getting older is a gift. Not everyone gets to even be 25, 30, 40, 50, 60. And it just lit this fire in me. I'm going to do it for him and for anyone who doesn't even get to live this life. So that is what really lit some fire and fuel behind my business. So what helped me really open my heart up to this relationship in a way that I probably never even was able to before. And death can do that. Death helps us realize just how potent life is. So I'm glad you mentioned, these unexpected endings that can lead to new beginnings. Eclipse season, man, it's full of it all.
This dichotomy that you just so expertly described, life and death almost being the Pisces side of the axis, the last sign, the 12th sign of the zodiac, the end of the end of the end. And Virgo really representing almost that life energy, that fertile, verdant goddess, earth mama energy that Virgo just encapsulates. The first eclipse of 2025, yet we are going to be dealing with and working through these Pisces Virgo themes for the next 18 months through 2026. And then we have a final eclipse on the Pisces Virgo axis in February of 2027. Really, we're looking at these energies over the next 2 years even. So getting really familiar with that Virgo side of you, that side of you that wants to bring perfection and wholeness and service to humanity and to self. Amelia even talking about her business, where she shows up in the world and the service she is in the world, being really inspired by the last time that we were under these influences of the Pisces Virgo North nodes and South nodes. And then really thinking about, how are your systems? Are you good at planning? Or do you have a dream, which is very Piscean? And do you know how to bring it down into reality, which is the Virgo side of things? Are you good with organizations, systems? That's kind of what we're going to be dealing with as a collective over the next 18 months, 2 years, what have you. And then that Pisces side of things, we talk about the dreaminess of the Pisces and the etherealness. And again, I expect to see spirituality and spiritual businesses really take off over the next 18 months to 2 years while we're under this influence of this Virgo Pisces axis for sure. And also we might see more people escaping into addiction, drugs, alcohol, plant medicine, gambling, you having relationships where you have the rose-colored glasses on, so you can't really see your partner for who they are, and you're kind of living in this glamorized, idealistic world that only exists in your own head. And again, I say this as a Pisces myself, so no shade, but the Pisces energy is strong and it can be delusional. It is also the energy that connects us to oneness and to spirit and to our ancestors and to our guides and to each other and to the quantum field. I mean, if you you talk about manifestation, I can't think of any axis that might be more strong for manifestation as the Pisces Virgo axis, because Pisces is really thinking about what you want to create, which starts in the quantum field. Everything starts as a thought. Then that Virgo is that energy, that earthy energy to bring down your dreams from vision to reality, from the quantum field into our 3D lived experience. So if you are a manifestation person, if you're all about going after your dreams, this Pisces Virgo energy that we are experiencing over the next 18 months could be so supportive for you and bringing your dream life into reality.
We're talking about now this 18 months ish thing. I know a lot of people might be asking, but a lot of astrologers and a lot of people say don't manifest during an eclipse. And you also mentioned be careful with your rituals. So I just want to bring some color to that because I'm sure people will have that as a question. A lot of what we're talking about is talking about this 18-month Piscean Virgo energy that we're swimming in. Eclipse is a different kind of energy that's like the birthing of it or the slamming of the door. And so for me, the way that I prepare, and I would love to hear for you, Ashley, like how do your rituals look different? And I know you do rituals and things with your clients as well. How does that look different? So for me, it's not about being scared. It's more like, all right, universe, let you do your thing. How I'm going to prepare is regulating my nervous system, being prepared for anything. It's kind of like when you know you're going to jump into a wave pool and you know that there's a wave that's going to come every now and then. So you're not just going to be like willy-nilly. You're going to be prepared and intentional and aware and be careful with what you say, careful with what you wish for, not like from a fear place, but just from an intentionality and awareness place. What do you think about that?
Anytime it's eclipse season, you have all the astrologers saying, do not manifest it during an eclipse. On Instagram, everywhere, YouTube, you hear this. And this is what I do. I believe that, first of all, we're manifesting at all times in every moment. For me, manifestation is literally a part of being alive. We are constantly creating in the present moment. That is literally all we have is our present moment and what we are creating. However, when we are calling in ritual, like you're talking about, and calling in the elementals or guides or whatever it is that you're doing as part of your practice, this is how I adjust for eclipse season. The phrase, this or something better, becomes my best friend. Instead of calling it something specific, like I want Frank so and so to fall in love with me, or whatever it is you're usually manifesting, I tend to drop the specifics. I can put my vision or my goal or how I want to feel out there. And I think it's almost always safe to communicate to the universe how you want to feel. If you're setting out something like, you're looking for a new job, it's time for a new job, this old one's no longer aligned, maybe you have an idea of what you want, you do a little ritual, you do some journaling, add in this or something better for my highest, most optimal path, for the good and benefit of all. Just keeping that door open for miracles, because eclipses can also bring in miracles. That's part of the unexpected, that fated, that destiny that we're talking about. So we don't want to close the door on those miracles by being too specific. And also, if you're calling in your highest, most optimal path, you're leaving a lot more space for goodness to come into your life and less space for that fear.
What I'm hearing also is a detachment and a neutrality. To me, I think detachment and neutrality are your best friends during eclipse season because, as we've been saying over and over and over again, and kind of low key turning blue in the face, I feel like you just never know what's gonna happen. And that doesn't have to be a doom and gloom kind of vibe. I can be like, you never know what's gonna happen. It might be, you never know what's gonna happen, but like, let's just be open to it and trust for my highest and most optimal good, this or something better. I am someone, and I'm sure all of our listeners and watchers are the type of people where it's like, I'm gonna find the lesson and I'm gonna find the gift no matter what happens. I talked about a lot of the good stuff that happened between 2015 and 2017. There was also a lot of crazy, not great stuff. But looking back, I won in each of those scenarios. You're gonna win no matter what. I mean, if you're here, you're in the right place and you're gonna win no matter what. And we're just, we're just preparing you. That's all.
That's such a beautiful perspective. We don't need to be scared of the planets or scared of eclipses or scared of any of this energy. We truly believe that any energy can be used for our greater advantage, for our greater learning, for our greater growth and evolution. That's like a core tenet of this podcast. That's a core tenet of how Amelia and I just tend to live our lives in general as human beings on this planet. There's so much beauty in almost any lesson as we gear up for this eclipse season and as we gear up for the next 18 months of this Pisces Virgo energy, this is all for you. This is for your growth. This is for your evolution. This is for your love. This is for your abundance. This is for whatever it is that you're wanting or dreaming to create in your life. Swim in this energy and absorb it and use it for your highest, greatest good and for really creating a beautiful life.
If you are really wanting to dive in and prepare well for this, because we will release this before the eclipse happens, don't worry. Take a look at your chart, see where the houses are where you have Pisces and Virgo. Obviously, there's a lot more details there. So if you want a detailed reading, you know where to find that as well. And yeah, we'd love some engagement too. So comment if you already know where Pisces and Virgo is in your chart. Comment about what has went on in your life in 2015 to 2017. Hey, I'm trying to find love, this or something better. Definitely something better than last time. Although my Virgo is at 6 degrees, so it's going to be a little bit at the end since the nodes go backwards. That's a little bit of advanced astrology for our advanced folks listening in. You're going to have to wait 18 months or so before you see me with my new man. So
I do love that though, not to make predictions, but I'm thinking back, I said 2015, one of the best years of life. That's
yeah.
when I got married as a
Mm.
Pisces rising to my Virgo rising husband. So he had his North Node in Virgo and got married to me. And I had my North Node in Virgo in the 7th house of relationships. And I got married to him in 2015. So
You
this stuff
can't
is real, y'all.
This stuff is so real.
All
And
you
by the
Virgo
way,
Pisces.
oh, absolutely. This is literally like the Virgo Pisces like show right now. It is so real. And I know that when people watch these types of videos, they're like, okay, wait, like don't take things necessarily that we're saying literally. I mean, it might, like, if you want to get married during this next 18 months, I want that for you, that or something better. Try to listen to what we're saying energetically, okay? Anything else we need to know about this eclipse, Ashley?
Dream big, y'all. That's what I'm going to say. Dream big. Pisces Virgo energy is all about dreaming big. And there's so much going on in the world right now. It's so hard sometimes, even just to wake up and put one foot in front of the other. And we are here to support you and to remind you that you are made of stardust. You are made of cosmic gold. We love you. We cannot wait to see what you create from your life, from these energies. You got this.
All of the terrible things that you might be seeing, think of that as the shadow side of what we're talking about. And Ashley and I are here to represent, and I know those of you watching and listening are here to represent the light side, right? With anything terrible that happens, there has to be an equal amazing thing. Ashley says we're stardust. I believe you, Ashley. I agree with you. Be that amazing thing. See the shadows in the world and be the light. Definitely stay tuned because our next episode is going to be about the next Mercury retrograde, which will be in Aries. And because it's in Aries, of course, we're going to have to talk about the new moon solar eclipse happening in Aries at around the same time. Thank you so much for watching. Please comment, like, and subscribe. We are available on all platforms, and follow us on Instagram because we also do IG lives in tandem with these episodes to give you a little bit more engagement and a little bit more color. Thanks for being here. We love you so much. See you next
We love
time.
you. Bye.
Switch this up tonight.